This is not just a geography lesson. This is about ice and fire. The ice-cold mountains of Ladakh, and the fire burning in the hearts of its people. And at the center of it all, one man whose recent arrest has sparked a national conversation. If you've seen videos of a man living on hunger strike on an ice-cold roof, or heard about the climate activist recently arrested, that's Sonam Wangchuk. But why is he protesting? Why was he arrested? And what does this have to do with you and India's future? Who is Sonam Wangchuk? Before we understand the protest, we need to understand the protester. Sonam Wangchuk isn't your typical activist. He's the real-life Funsuk Wangdu from Three Idiots. The inspiration behind Amir Khan's character.
नमस्ते मास्टर जी, अब कहाँ पहुँच गई? गांव में टीचर बन गई हाँ? A for apple, B for ball, इंजीनियर से सीधा प्राइमरी टीचर. एजुकेशन सिस्टम को बदलने चला था. मैं बोला था, एक दिन तुम रहोगे और मैं अंतोंगा.
वैसे तुम्हारा असली नाम क्या है?
फुनसुक वांगड़ू.
वांगड़ू? पिया?
तू साइंटिस्ट है, यानी कि तेरे नाम के 400 पेटेंट्स हैं?
मैं शादी के बाद अपना सरनेम नहीं चेंज करूंगी.
मतलब तू चतुर का वांगड़ू है? हाँ. यानी कि जापानीज तुझे ढूंढ रहे हैं? तू वांगड़ू है? हाँ पापा हाँ.
He's an innovator, built ice stupas to solve water scarcity. He's an educator, founded the SECMOL Alternative School. He's won national awards for his work. He's been called the Gandhi of Ladakh. But recently, this peaceful innovator found himself on the wrong side of the law. Why? What went wrong in paradise? Ladakh, a region known for its breathtaking beauty and unique culture. But since August 2019, it's also been at the center of a major political and constitutional debate. The demand? To be included under the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution. If you're following current affairs, you've definitely seen headlines about Ladakh's protests and their demand for the 6th schedule. But what does this actually mean? Why is Ladakh demanding it? And what are the arguments for and against? In this video, we will explain everything from the basics. So let's get started. The backstory: what happened in August 2019? To understand the present, we need to look at the past. Before 2019, the state of Jammu and Kashmir, J&K, had its own special status under Article 370 of the Constitution. Key point: this special status meant that many laws passed by the Indian Parliament did not automatically apply to J&K. This included provisions like the 5th and 6th schedules, which are meant to protect tribal areas in other states. Now in August 2019, the Government of India made a historic move. 1. Article 370 was revoked, meaning officially cancelled or withdrawn by the Government of India. 2. The state of Jammu and Kashmir was reorganized into 2 union territories: Jammu and Kashmir with a legislative assembly, Ladakh without a legislative assembly. This is the root of the entire issue. Ladakh went from being a part of a special state to being a union territory, UT, without a legislature. This means Ladakh has no elected government to make laws for itself. It is directly governed by the central government through a lieutenant governor, LG. The protest that shook the nation. Picture this. In the year 2024, a 57-year-old man sitting on an open roof in -20 degrees Celsius temperature, on hunger strike, for 21 days. Why such an extreme step? Wangchuk's 3 demands: 6th schedule protection for Ladakh, statehood for Ladakh with legislature, job security for locals. His message: we don't want freedom from India, we want freedom within India to protect our culture. Okay, so what is this 6th schedule everyone is talking about? Let's break it down in the simplest way possible. The 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution is a special set of provisions designed to protect the rights of tribal populations and allow for self-governance in certain areas. Where does it apply? It currently applies to certain tribal areas in 4 states in northeastern India: Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. What does it do? It creates a system of autonomous district councils, ADCs. Think of an ADC as a mini legislature for a specific tribal region. These councils have the power to make laws on key local issues like land, who can buy and sell land; forests, management of forest resources; water, regulation of water resources; agriculture, customary laws, preserving tribal social and cultural practices; village administration. In a nutshell, the 6th schedule gives tribal communities a great deal of autonomy to manage their own affairs and protect their way of life. Now, let's connect the dots and understand why is Ladakh demanding the 6th schedule. Ladakh has a predominantly tribal population. Over 90% of its people belong to scheduled tribes. After becoming a UT without a legislature, they felt a huge governance vacuum and a threat to their identity. Their demand is simple: extend the 6th schedule to Ladakh to protect our tribal identity, land and resources. Specifically, they want 1. Protection of land and jobs. They want laws to prevent outsiders from easily buying land and taking up government jobs, ensuring these remain for the local tribal population. 2. Democratic decentralization. They want elected autonomous district councils for the Leh and Kargil regions to have decision-making power over local issues. 3. Cultural preservation. To safeguard their unique Tibetan Buddhist and Balti Shia Muslim cultures from getting diluted. This demand gained massive momentum and led to the formation of groups like the Leh Apex Body, LAB, and the Kargil Democratic Alliance, KDA, which have been leading the protests. For years, the people of Ladakh have been peacefully asking the government to grant them this protection. But they felt their requests were being ignored. This is why Sonam Wangchuk, in March 2024, began his climate fast, a hunger strike on the roof of his institute in sub-zero temperatures. His goal was to draw national attention to Ladakh's plight. His protest was not against India. His message was clear: we want to be protected within India, not from India. The protest gained massive momentum. Thousands of people joined him in Leh and Kargil. The story went viral. So what has the government done about this? The central government has held multiple rounds of talks with the leaders from Ladakh. In response to the protests, the Ministry of Home Affairs (MHA) formed a high-powered committee in January 2023 to examine the demands, where there are discussions on inclusion of Ladakh in the 6th schedule, measures to protect the region's language, culture, and land, ensuring job security for the locals, the extent of power to be given to the proposed autonomous district councils. The debate is intense. The Ladakhi leaders are firm on their demand. The government, on the other hand, is likely considering the strategic importance of Ladakh. It borders both China and Pakistan, and the need for integrated development. This story has just taken a dark turn. What began as a peaceful demand for tribal rights has now turned deadly. 4 people dead, 80 injured, and the man you know as the real-life Phunsukh Wangdu from 3 Idiots, Sonam Wangchuk, has been arrested and moved to Jodhpur Central Jail. This is the explosive new chapter in the Ladakh crisis. Let me further explain how the peaceful 6th schedule movement turned violent, why Wangchuk is behind bars, and what this means for India's most sensitive border region. The peaceful protest that turned deadly. For 15 days, Sonam Wangchuk continued his hunger strike. The demand remained the same: 6th schedule protection to safeguard land, jobs and culture. But on September 26, 2025, everything changed. Peaceful protests organized by the Leh Apex Body and Kargil Democratic Alliance suddenly turned violent. The aftermath was shocking. 4 protesters dead, 80 people injured. Worst violence in Ladakh's modern history. Security forces and protesters clashing on streets. Wangchuk's role: peacemaker or provocateur? Here's where the story gets complicated. As violence erupted, Wangchuk, still on hunger strike, did something crucial. He urged peace, publicly denounced the violence from his protest site. He ended his fast, called off his 15-day hunger strike to calm tensions. He distanced from violence, joined the Leh Apex Body in calling protests meant to be peaceful. Yet just hours later, at 2:30 p.m., Ladakh police led by DGP SD Singh Jamwal arrested him. The government's position is clear. Union Home Ministry blames Wangchuk for provocative speech. Police claim he incited the violence. Charges still unclear, but likely serious. But the facts on ground tell a different story. Leh Apex Body says protests were meant to be peaceful. Witnesses describe security forces using excessive force. Wangchuk actually appealed for peace during clashes. This is now a classic he said they said situation with lives at stake. Here's what's particularly concerning. Sonam Wangchuk wasn't kept in Ladakh. He was moved to Jodhpur Central Jail in Rajasthan. This might be a strategic move. 1. Isolates the leader, cuts him off from his support base. 2. Deters supporters, makes visiting and protesting harder. 3. Psychological impact, shows government's seriousness. 4. Reduces media access, far from national media spotlight. The bigger picture: what's really at stake? Beyond the immediate violence, this arrest represents a major escalation. For Ladakh, peaceful movement now has bloodshed, trust between people and government broken. Future protests likely to be more tense. For Wangchuk, from environmental hero to accused provocateur, faces potentially serious charges. Movement loses its most visible leader. What happens next? The situation remains extremely volatile. This is no longer just about constitutional rights. This is now about how India handles dissent in sensitive regions, the price of peaceful protests turning violent, whether dialogue or detention solves problems. Why this fight matters to every Indian. You might live far from Ladakh, but this struggle touches on fundamental questions that affect all of us. 1. The right to protest. How does a democracy balance the need for stability with the citizens' right to peaceful dissent? 2. Tribal rights. How does India, a country of immense diversity, protect its vulnerable indigenous cultures in the name of development and integration? 3. Environmental justice. Who gets to decide the future of India's most fragile ecosystems, the people who live there, or planners in distant cities? What do you think? Should the government negotiate or continue with arrests? Can peace be restored? Share your views in comments. This conversation matters more than ever. Smash that share button. Every Indian needs to understand what's happening in our northernmost region. This is our reality check. Let's all pray for peace in Ladakh. The story of Ladakh is a test case for Indian democracy. The outcome will set a precedent for how we handle the legitimate aspirations of unique cultural and ecological zones across the country. The world is watching how India handles the Gandhi of Ladakh. The choices made in the next few days will define Ladakh's future for generations.
जाने तुझे देंगे नहीं